All right. So we in for another session tonight. We continuing with the node builder and trying to get things done on Stelt. So where we currently are is the entire node structure is set up where we could actually train Willow and give Willow the tools that she could pull in real time and be able to perform certain acts like pull up pages, content forms, that kind of thing, fill it out. Uh, in my case, we do 360 virtual tours, so Willow could pull those up as well, show them on screen, and all of that good stuff. So, one of the other things that we have done is automation pipeline. So, when someone sends a message, Willow could automatically, well, yeah, you could say Willow would automatically respond, and we have an agent that would take the information from the lead form, process it, and output it, and then email the person directly. So, and this is a pretty simple form that we have here. We have a lead node. So when a new lead fires, we get information like email, name, number, and the message that they leave. So the node itself is wired into this Cloud module, and the email is piped across. So so you could actually see the connection. So the email is piped straight across into the input of the action node, which is the email node. And then we have the name piped in as one context and the message piped in as another context. And then the agent now would use that and write a custom email and then send it back to the person who visited the website instantly. So what we're working now on is creating a content calendar. So we could schedule a time for the week, and the agent now would take the context and create a post, and then have it sent to the email so we could use that as marketing content. So where we at so far, and we do have a couple of things that we definitely need to fix for it, but at the moment it creates content like this. So there are some things I need to fix, and this isn't an image that is generated. This is actually HTML. So my thought behind it was, instead of generating an image and then having the possibility of having some issues with text and so on, we write HTML code, and that way the output would be cleaner. We have more control over it. And once we write the HTML code, we convert that code then into a PDF, and it emails the PDF to you, which works. And the email works now because we did set up that on resend. So we get a custom email that is set up. So this is where we are currently at today. So we back working on this step. So again, this is a platform I'm building, so anyone could start their own business by starting an AI agency. And this is just the back end dashboard where you can manage all your clients. So this is where we at. So back at it and trying to get some more done tonight. So this last feature was trying trying to set up all the automation, all the back end automation, instead of it just being a standard chatbot that would be able to verbally chat with uh, visitors to your website. Want to add some automation where uh, the agent would be able to perform tasks in the background on your business. All right, so what we're gonna do is we'll run the pass again. So the last time when we did the test and came out with the last flyer design, I believe we ran that using, let me see. So you could select the model here. So I think Sonnet created the HTML, and we know Sonnet, even though it is decent, Opus is a lot better. So let's try to run that same test again, but use Opus this time. Don't forget, if you are interested in the idea of starting your own business for free, because the way I'm doing this, it is absolutely free until a client actually pays you. You could head across to stelt.ai, and if you come to Stelt.
Hello and welcome to Stelt. I'm Willow, the assistant. Anything you'd like to know? Tap the mic in the corner and I'll help.
Yeah, so if you head across the Stelt and you go to agent, start an agency, you could actually run through this and you could see the whole concept behind this project and what it does, how I decided to structure things, and how you could use it, and why it is free at the moment. Well, I shouldn't say free, why you don't have to pay to actually start to use it or to start an agency with it. And it is a voice agency where you could embed an AI agent on a business's website, one line of code, and then with a single line of code, they have an agent that could speak to their visitors and do things like pull up information on screen and stuff. All right. So we check and see if we have any difference in results, because what we're doing right now is we are testing the content creation automation pipeline. So you could automate for any business that you set up or any of your clients for Willow to create content. So let me go from the dashboard on the dev side. All right. So you guys create a simple automation where uh, when a new lead, we have different automations you could create. So this automation is when a new lead comes in, we capture the email address and pipe it into the input of the email itself, and then we take the person's name and the message and we add that to the context here, and this agent would actually write a custom welcome email to that particular client. Let me see if I switch. So are we working on this automation right now? Content engine. You see if the results for Opus is any better. Because the last time we ran the content automation for the agent to actually look at the website and on schedule, so on a specific time, the agent would look at the website and write a custom piece of marketing content for the business and then email it to you for review. So the last time it did that, it created this document here for XD Studio, which is a design company. So a design company, it created this document. Now there are a couple of things that definitely need to fix. So what we checking now is just to see if Opus will do a better job before we actually adjust any code. Before we make any adjustment to code. Oh crap. All right, so Opus, just by switching the model from, so this is what it actually looks like. So when an email comes in, this is the email using Opus to design the flyer. And if we pull back up the original, PDF, which is this PDF, and we compare both of them. So this is the Sonnet design, right? And just by switching the model from Sonnet to Opus, we get this design. So the content calendar itself, or the content creation calendar, is actually working. And I mean, we already know that Opus could write better code than Sonnet. So, and because this is HTML code, it's not just generating an image like using GPT or Flux. You know, this is actual HTML code, and then we convert it to PDF. So this is awesome, and the information is correct. Executive design and construction. Also, is it? Oh, this is actually pretty good. This is pretty good. It's pretty good. Let me just send this across for someone else to take a look at. This is crazy. The only thing I need to do as well is let me This one is a solid yes. Oh, what I think we should probably do too is also add to the scheduling node the ability to add more schedules. So if we want to schedule multiple times for the day, we could set up that uh multi-scheduling for a single day instead of one time at run one time per day. That is something that we need to adjust. Also, we need to adjust what the output in the email is. So apart from emailing the design for the day, it should also output the copy as well as the hashtags for the design. So the content engine would be working end to end, providing all the information needed uh, for any post that we need to actually put out. All right, so let me switch this back on. Once we send this live with how the new updated uh, nodes that we could drop in to set up the automation. This is being tested, so if you do start an agency, some of these nodes will not be available at the moment. I need to thoroughly test them to make sure that they work and do exactly what they're supposed to do before it is available for the public to use. If you are setting up, multiple clients. See. All right, so we're running a test to see if we could extract images directly from the web page. However, with that test, it came back as a 1 kilobyte empty canvas. So clearly that has a slight bug in it that needs to be fixed. I think the problem right now is we need to increase the token limit. The tokens being 4096 is too little in order to create a rich piece of content. So we try to increase the token limit, double the token limit to 8192. Because at the end of the day, this is HTML code, so we are checking. We need to pay attention to the amount of tokens used to generate a piece of content. It isn't that image that we created. All right, so this is the second test. And with the increased token limit and the ability to look at pull the actual images off the website itself. This was the flyer. And there are. All right, so there is not a bad place to start. So at the moment, what we have is a complete automation that could run on a timer to schedule the creation of content and have it emailed to you directly. So we still have a couple things to do. Even though the token limit went up to 8192, I still think we should push it a bit more just in case. Push it a bit more just in case. It's better we have the tokens to use and don't use it than don't have the tokens and generate a blank image. Alright, so we're supposed to be live on the Raspberry Pi now. So we should be able to see if we refresh this, the flyer node here. So we could inject a flyer node, delete that, extend, break this connection and connect Claude to the flyer and then connect flyer to the right. So now we have a tip that use Opus to get the best design. So we could come here and just switch this to the Opus model. Freeform, you want PDF output. As a you can name the flyer, you know, anything like daily designs. So what would happen now is on a scheduled time once a day, the agent would look at the website. Now the next thing we do it with add caching, so the agent doesn't need to read the website every single time it runs. It runs this, it would cache the information from the website in order to save tokens. and then it would write the HTML file here into a PDF and then email that to us. So a couple things to address is to increase the token limit if needed. The trigger node we add. All right, so it seems that I would need to actually move this to a droplet faster than I thought. Uh, because right now we're running on a Raspberry Pi, but Chromium may be a bit too much for it. Right, so we're increasing the token context, or the token limit, I should say, for the actual creation when it comes to creating a flyer. So we do actually hit any kind of ceiling if we do run short on tokens. Don't forget the link in the description. You could read about setting up an agency using the platform for absolutely $0 upfront. You only pay to use the platform once you get your first client. That was the intention with this whole project. I mean, it kind of pivoted, but that is kind of the intention where, allowing someone to start a business, a side hustle, but with zero startup costs. Right, so we check and see if the multi-time frame was set up on the dashboard. Hard restart. So now the scheduler should have the ability to add a different time frame. So we could add multiple times per day to trigger an event. Cool. So that works. Right, so I don't want to do two cloud nodes and we'll be splitting the output. Option B is one cloud node and a second output. So So that we said about automation and test it, we just need to get a second node, that second output added. So what we would do is when we create the prompt and wire the context for the HTML, one output would write the HTML and the other output would skip the flyer node and go straight to the email node and write the body of the text. Yes. Write the body of the text. Or write the body of the email, which would contain the copy and the hashtags for that. So we're not doing well. Or actually, let me do down Stelt. All right. So what we need to do, we do a manual trigger. Actually, you know what? We could do an auto trigger to make sure the auto trigger working at multiple times. Then we will add the LLM node and we'll add a second output for the context. So what we're testing here is the content creation engine. If we could schedule posts every day, and what it should be able to do is create the posts. We'll add a web page, and the web page would be all right. So there's a Stelt website wired into the context here. We'll fix this later. For the function, we'd add the flyer node, and Claude would connect to the flyer. So when it writes the output, it would actually automatically fill this space. We wouldn't go for A4, we would go for US letter size. And then we will add our email node. So it emails the output to me. And we will just call it right, daily social content. Now the only thing that we need to adjust is once we get the updated Claude node. Right, so right now you could do additional input. We need additional output that would route into the body. So we turn the body into input here. So we get input to connect to the body. So we route the additional node into the body itself. So that way the one agent would have the context on what is being written. It will create the HTML code for the flyer, and then it would actually create the copy and the hashtags. That is the concept. mean, from the last test, it did look pretty good. The output did look pretty good. All right, so the back end test did work. So all right, so the capture matches the flyer weekend sale. Exciting, right? Right, so this is the point of the shared context. So it does understand what it is creating for the actual flyer HTML itself. So it would have the same context and carry that across into the copy and the hashtag. So we'd run our test. Once this is done, we'd have to update the node and we'll see what happens. So this way, on a daily basis, you just automate the content creation based on the website and probably some additional input, and you just pump out content. You review and then you post. All right, so I noticed one problem. So when we crawl up a site, we actually crawl in the single page that we input. So you can see here, it crawl XD Studio and I get 8 images. But the fact that this website has a lot more images, the home page itself might have 8 images, but the entire website for sure has a lot more. So what we need to do is increase this. So once we input our HTML, we input a URL, it would scrape the entire page, not just the home page itself. But for the most part, I mean, let me just see if this works. What we generate. So hard refresh that, and switch this to Opus. So we didn't put it as a separate output. So it generates the HTML as one output, and the it splits in order to create the copy itself. All right, let me try this. So Okay, so we notice a problem there. Oh, it's writing it as street. No, we don't want that, man. Alright, so we see a problem here that I don't like. I mean, even though it might work. So the first one, yeah, I don't like how this wired. I don't like how that is wired. We have the prompt. We have the split. Alright, so the problem I don't like is once we enter the text here for the caption, like if it just goes in like a blocker text with different pieces of information, we get all these points, right? Which I am not feeling. And then now it says that this caption one is going to the flyer, which this isn't actually accurate, because what needs to go to the flyer is the prompt itself here to actually create the HTML. So the context is working properly. This section here is the problem. We can have all these pins for no reason. Right, so all right, let me see if we could fix this. Um, all right, so that's supposed to fix the problem, hopefully. So once we do that, we hard refresh, we wire it back up correctly, and then we see if it actually generates the flyer as well as the copy. All right, so the backend verification pass. So it is just to test now. I'd refresh that. So we should have output. Boom. All right, so this right here is a problem that we need to fix. So let's do this one time. Let's do that one time before we continue. All right, there's our next thing we need to fix, because we have to prompt in order. We need to prompt the body first, which is, it shouldn't be that way. We should be able to prompt. I mean, does it make sense to prompt the body first? Once you see it, why is all right? Let me fix that one bug, then we'll get to the other issue that I already see. Let me see. All right, let me see if this would work now. Right, so what should happen is we should at a specific time trigger, read the website, create content, generate copy, create a HTML flyer, save it as a PDF, and then email it. That is what should happen. The time right now is 9:22, so we say 9. All right, let us see if it does fire. Trigger pen and Yeah. Oh, it did fire. It just took a little while to fire. Alright, still that AI did it. Caption, flyer, email sent, daily content. Alright, so we need to check this because it did fire, but resend did not actually send it as yet. Alright, so the order no longer matters. It's most important. We could wire any which way we want. Now for the bigger problem. Check the log. Let me change my email and see if in 7 p.m. So we need to figure out why the trigger is delaying. So you see the trigger did fire, but it was delayed. So we need to figure out why that is happening. And it actually came across as well. It fired the content, came across, it wrote the copy, and it wrote the hashtag, so that worked. And this is the design it created, which isn't too bad. It isn't too bad at all. So this is the automation pipeline. We still need to adjust some things because it's slightly off, but yeah, you could see it not centered properly, and we do have this band that is actually running through the bottom here. but it does work. I just don't know why it didn't fire the first why the first one didn't fire next on Shasha Tech. It's extremely strange. Pipeline ran clean, flyer rendered, cannot touch the existing. Yeah, but I didn't let me check resend to see if it actually came true. Right, so Claude just fired one and it went through. Hmm. So it did create the first flyer, but for some reason, resend kind of messed up. It didn't actually send it. Alright, so first thing first, we need to tighten up these prompts. Right. So the main thing is it creating the documents. It isn't looking bad, but depending on the page size, we are not getting a properly centered HTML. And for some reason, resend did not send me a file. So at the moment, this automation does work. So let us try this again, sending this to myself. And we'll set up two automations. We'll say at 17, and then we'd add 918. So we're supposed to get two pieces of content 1 minute apart. There is a slight delay with the fire though, about 30 seconds, which we need to sort out as well. I think any problem could be the page size because we actually set the flyer to be letter size. So the HTML just wasn't looking at it properly. Alright, so that's the first automation fire there. I did receive the email. So this is that design. Alright, so let me wait and see when the second one comes in. The second one should fire in a couple seconds. And then this would lead us to add in the next part of it, add in a memory context for the agent so it could know what type of design it did in the past, so it would not recreate the same design in the future when it creates a new flyer. Okay, so that one fired. Let me see if I could pull that one up as well. All right, so you can see here the problem. It's slightly different, but it is very close to being the same thing. So this is where we need to set up the memory now to so before the agent creates the uh flyer, it would understand what it created in the past, so it will not recreate the same thing again. Ah, that was the problem. So the agent wasn't sure about the size of the page, so it could not adjust the suit. All right, fix the system. All right, so we reprompt this. All right, so that is that. We could run one more test to see if it actually works now and fits everything to suit. We delete this timer and we'll set this time at 22, and then we just wait and see what output we get if it actually fits properly. Actually, we do one test using paper size, using letter size, and then we change it to Facebook posts and see what happens. We really need to pay attention to this, need to adjust this this trigger. The trigger drift more than a minute now. That is odd. Alright, fire at the same time I click on it, so we need to look at that to see if there is a genuine bug or something. Alright, this is a lot better. So now it could detect the size of the paper, the size of the canvas, and actually adjust to suit. I think one of the reasons it could have taken, well, let's see, it still needs to read the flyer file first. All right, so let us adjust this to Instagram square, and instead of doing a PDF, we do a PNG this time, and we set the time for 25. All right, so bugs to fix is the trigger not triggering on time is 1, and I mean that's the only bug for right now. We need to set up the memory. What we do after is we try this manual node after and see if it fires properly. Actually, what we could do too is try a random business as well and see if it actually captures the data for that business. All right. So did we create a square image? Question of the day. And the answer is yes, we created a square PNG image, not a PDF. Awesome. All right, so let's disconnect this node and we'll connect a manual node. And we look for a random business. We look for accounting website. This is an extremely basic website, but no. Alright, so let me give it this website and see what would happen. So we just come in and swap the website here, that URL, and this is accounting solutions. All right, accounting solutions TT, and we're using manual, so we should just be able to run and it should fire. So this will determine if we actually have a delay because of the trigger itself or if it just taking a while to run. So you see it actually ran, so it's processing. So it's not that the trigger itself off. It's actually running at the correct time. It is just delayed because it is processing. So create the content. Cool. Cool. So we get rid of this node. We will put that back there. Just tighten things up a bit. And we will create a container for this. And we'll call this so we have a social content automation container now, and we could switch it on and off if needed. Cool. So what was the bug? So the bug is not actual bug. The trigger is not actual bug. It's triggering at the time. It's just taking time to process. So That is fine. We can't do anything about that. What we need to do now is add probably a SQLite file. Hey, what is he saying? The website is stelt.ai. It's in the description. Whole concept behind it is building a platform where anybody could start their own AI agency without putting out a single cent until your client pays you first. If you go to Stelt.ai, and if you go across, you scroll down and you go to start an agency, you could kind of get all the information about the process of starting a business for yourself and how it wouldn't cost you anything upfront. These numbers are just for reference though. It really depends on what your market calls for. Right, so what we're going to do now is right. So what I want to do now is combat the problem of if we have this automation running daily or multiple times a day to create new content for social media, that the agent doesn't create the same content over and over and over or similar content. So we create a memory module or a memory node, and before the agent creates the content, the agent would look at the node to understand what was created in the past, create new content, and then update the node with what was just created. So it would not recreate any of the created documents in the past. And we'd store it as a SQLite. So we will save on space and we could keep adding to the file as time passes. Or at least that's the plan. All right, so while that working out, let me kind of give you a breakdown of the platform. So if someone wants to start an agency, what you would do, you have your main dashboard. Now, this is being built on the back end, so some of the nodes and stuff you wouldn't have access to as yet. But what you could do is you could just jump here, create a new business to add a new client if you have a new client, and it will take you to this page. So you enter the name of the business and what the business does as the type of business. You grab your API keys, so your Cloud and your Google TTS API, because at the end of the day, this is a voice agent for websites first. Select your language or the voice. Now, once you start a business, you will have to take a subscription. But the way I did it is a 7-day free trial. So even though you take the subscription, you don't actually pay as yet, right? So once your client makes their first payment, then that way you don't pay, or a payment doesn't come out until your client pays you. This feature I have to add to the public. So this is demo. So when you set up a demo for a business to view, you put the demo API keys here, and once they open it and have their first conversation with the agent, it would delete the account in 48 hours. So this way you still do get charged for creating a demo, right? You still need to subscribe to like a 1-month subscription, but it 7-day free trial, you won't be charged for it. Then you go through, you train the agent, you just point it at a website. It would crawl the entire website, all the pages, up to 25 pages right now. You could add in text document, so for additional training, or PDF documents and that kind of stuff. And then you could come here and you could test it. So you could just say hi.
Hey there. Welcome to Stelt. I'm Willow, your voice assistant. How can I help you today?
Right, so basically that is what it would do. And once you get that done, you come back to the dashboard, and then this single line of code is what you embed on the website of your client. So if their site is built where they have one footer section, you embed this in the footer, similar to how you would do analytics, to track your analytics. If you have just one HTML page, you're embedded right above the body or the end of the body. And that is it. You would be able to see where in the world conversations come from, how much conversations. It will track how much leads that come in. So it will track all the leads that come in. It will track all the conversations. And you click on a conversation, it will show you the full conversation. For the leads, you see these containers here. So you see these are archived. So what this is when you go to the sandbox, which is this, you could have, just refresh it. So you could see I have 3 different form or 3 different things connected to Willow. So Willow could actually pull these on your website in real time. So if you add forms, so like on an actual business, so here we have 2 different forms. These 2 different forms would show up in the lead section. And if you delete a form, even though the form is deleted, it is archived, so you could actually still pull the leads from it, or you could permanently come in here and just delete it like that. Right? Still working on this SEO section. And right now we are currently building the automation, so you could create automations for the business on the back end. Multiple forms, YouTube videos, images, whatever. All right, so read at start of the run, email history, and right at the end. Cool. The only one thing I still confused about is why that first design was never sent. Ah, I need to remember one bug I spoke about in the beginning and I forgot and I never remember again. We need to curl the entire web page. We need to curl the entire web page on this node. For this web page node, we need to curl the entire page and not just uh, the home page that was entered. We need to curl the entire website. And then we need to add caching so we don't keep using additional APIs. So we cache the calls to save on costs. I mean, it's still not much, you know. For all this testing, I use $1. All right, so today for all the generations for all the posts that we tested, which was quite a few, it was literally 84 cents because we're not doing image generation. We're actually writing HTML code for each block using Opus. So they're really not that expensive. So that means to create content for the entire month on a daily basis, the post copy, the actual post image, and the hashtags, I probably spend $3 for the whole month. That is a lot better than hiring a content a content marketing agency. All right, let me see if this works now. All right, we have memory. All right, the YN here is a bit messy. Yeah, so you could see the direction of the YN. But the fact is that now it should understand the different pieces of content. So, uh, all right, so there is one run. And let's run it again and see if we get something different. All right. So we did generally get something different, but we still need to work on the actual prompt for the flight to the actual creation itself, just to tighten things up. So we created two genuinely different types of design. Cool. It's just that the wiring does look a bit messy. All right. Actually, let us do another one as Instagram story and see if we get something different as well. I think what I need to do as well is get a bit more in depth with this prompt here. And we could work on that after. All right, fire again. All right. So it is creating different content. What we just need to do is tighten up the prompt itself when it comes to the actual design, which is which is doable. Right. So let's add this node now. So this node is it's just like an announcement node. So instead of retraining the entire agent, it's just like to add in a little snippet. So when we add a new input and we'll connect this one and we could just say something like right. So let me see if it actually take the if it actually add this context as well into the creation. We wouldn't do something as big as we do Facebook post, different size, leave it as a PNG. Yep, yep. And the copy actually reflects that too. 20% off all plans, all the hashtags as well. So we know we could inject additional pieces of context on the fly. And it does create the document in different sizes based on what the media is. So yeah, So memory works, the different page sizes work. We just need to tighten up the actual design prompt itself. Um, and then what was the next one? What was the next thing? Actually, and so what we're trying to do is update this prompt here, but I think what we need to do is pay attention to what happening under the hood when it comes to the writing style. Let me see if this does make a difference. All right, let me run this one with the new prompt and see what we come up with. Still using the same Facebook size PNG. I don't know. This one I don't like too much. So I mean, we need to definitely start training the model more on how to do HTML code for design. Train it a little more on that. But so far, everything does work as intended. Alright, so see if this will make a difference. There's creating a new class inside the actual LLM itself. So before it was free form writing, but now we could choose like HTML design, and that would be specific design language using HTML code. So I mean, a lot still has to do with the main prompt itself, but let's see if this does make a difference. And we keep it as Facebook, so we could compare it to the we could compare to the last design. But the last design itself genuinely wasn't all that good. But the idea with this is we swap the node from being a manual node to having a scheduled node. So technically we're running a cron job, and then every day at a specific time we create content, we email it to ourselves, and this way we could review it and just post online. Okay, so this one is a bit better than the last. This one is genuinely better. Again, same thing I'm noticing is we only pull in images from the home page. So before I forget that, let us address that one time. What I think would be cool too is for a node specific like this, we could have references. So that means we need to give the LLM vision. So before it create a post, it could look at different designs that we actually like to understand the design language. Look at the designs, and then kind of get an idea of the concept from that. So but before we do anything, we need to commit and push. before we do the next, before we add anything else. We need to push this build file and all. All right, cool. All right, nothing deployed to the Pi as yet, which is quite fine. Uh, all right, so we need to crawl the entire website, not just the home page, so that way we could get more images and more content for the post. That is one. And the next thing we need to do is we need to add a cache node. Right, I think that is two important things. So we need to be able to crawl the entire website, not just the home page, and we need to cache so we don't spend additional tokens to recrawl the page. Because I mean, if you're creating daily content, the website not going to change every single day, so it doesn't make sense recrawling the website every single day. Just look at the cache content and write from there. We already crawl in the full page when we do set up a business, but if we creating daily content, we may want to crawl another website. So right, we tackle the full site crawl first. All right, what was the next one? We need to add vision. If we add vision to the model, then the model could look at any reference images. So we could actually create a node where we could upload multiple images as reference. So the model understands the design language and then could create content following that same style consistently. This is the only piece of wiring I don't like, this cross. I mean, it can't be helped because the agent need to be able to read the memory file before creating the content, so that had to go in the input. And then when it finish creates the content, it need to go back and write to the memory file in order to update it. Which is the only thing that I don't like with this design. All right, full cycle working. Let me see if we could pull new so we should be able to crawl the entire site now. So we change it up a little bit. We do a we did the Instagram square before we do our Instagram story now, just to test it. And let me see if we could pull additional images. Okay, so the 12 cap was deliberate. All right, so we have the ability to crawl the entire site now. So once it runs, it will crawl the entire site. Create the context. Actually, no, crawl the entire site. Look at what was built. Create the content. Design the flyer. Rewrite to the memory. And then send the email. So we're running at the moment. Once we finish process, pipeline will run. And let us see what the email. All right, so this is why we need to add vision. So it did pull additional images. However, it didn't pull only images that related to houses. So Right, let me see if this actually costing if we crawl. Alright, one-time vision pass journey crawl cash. Look at Alright, so in order for this to work, we need to build cash first. So we have working so far. All three triggers work, the tools work, the cloud model works, the flyer and the memory works, input works, the router works, and the email actually works. We need to fix the email or add a feature to the email where a business could put their own emails input, because right now you would get Stelt resend the email. All right. So we do have the full crawl. All the flow works. The only thing that we need to do now is we need to add vision to the model. So the model, when it crawls the website, it will understand what it's actually looking at. So based on the prompt of what social media post needs to be created, it could look at all the images on the site and then select the correct ones to put into the post instead of flying blind like how it is doing right now. The other problem that would bring up is in order to visually look at all the images on our website, the API call would be extremely high. So what we do is in this web page, we will actually cache. The first time we run, we look at everything and then we cache it. So we will cut down on the cost. So we wouldn't have to do that again. And then we add one more node that is a reference node. Because at the moment, this writes HTML code here to create flyers or create social media content. So we'll add a reference node so we could probably go to Pinterest and get images that we like the design language of. So what the model will do now is use vision, look at those reference images, and then understand the style that you're going for. So when it writes the HTML code, is more along the line of what you want instead of just randomly writing code. And then, well, that will be outputted as a PDF or a PNG to post on social media along with the copy as well as the hashtags. So we technically have a fully automated content creation engine that could run and create content on a daily basis multiple times a day. And because of the memory node, because of the memory, we actually create different content every time, which is pretty cool. So it will read the memory, understand what was created in the past, create a new piece of content, and then rewrite to the memory. So it keeps track of what is last created so it wouldn't create that same exact type of content again. So this is the full automation pipeline here for Stelt. And then Willow has her own thing going on. As well as this is a full separate. And we could block this off too and put this in a new container. And call this a welcome email. So there's the welcome email, and when this is done, this will be the content creation. We'll remove the manual trigger and then drop in the timer, and then boom, done. So you could automate this for your clients as well as give them a voice agent for the website. All right, cool. Right, so now we have our recrawler. So we don't need to crawl the website every day. So if we're creating content for the month and it's a website that doesn't really change, we could actually just recrawl the website on a monthly basis if anything does change. But it would crawl it once, cache, and then once we run the next the API call for the agent in order to create the content, we don't need to recrawl the entire site and spend all that in tokens, even though it's not much that you're spending in any case. So right. So we'll add our reference node the next session, and then we will move on to add vision. So before I go, let me all right. So that would be it for this stream. I think we did quite a bit. We got quite a bit done. The content creation pipeline is complete. Well, it is complete and running. It's just to polish and enhance some of the features. So we could manually trigger or we could schedule posts being created. We could look at our website for context, and the website plugs directly into the agent itself, so the agent would read the website. We write HTML code for the content itself. We read the memory to see what was written in the past, and then we rewrite to it in order to keep track of what was done and then what not to do. Then it creates a flyer using the dimensions that we select, as well as the output type. We don't actually put any HTML here because the agent plugs directly into the flyer and injects the HTML code into there, and then that is sent to the email node that is emailed to us. And we don't need to enter anything into the body as well, because the flyer goes into the email node, and then from the agent actually injects directly into the body and writes the copy as well as the hashtags for that particular post. So end to end this works. We just need to do some work to improve it. And for now I'll leave the schedule node out, but we could turn this into a container, and we'll call this right. Actually, call it social media. Right, so we have that. I just left the trigger for the scheduling out for now because I'll be manually running for testing. But Yeah, this is the workflow that we had set up. So Willow could do these things, as well as we have uh this lead trigger, and then the content creation calendar. So this is awesome. So yeah, that is it for now. If you all have any questions, leave a comment. But I will see you all in the next video or the next stream. Later.